Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you guys enjoyed the race. As usual, Talledega is a love-hate relationship, and it's like that ex-girlfriend that you keep trying to get rid of, but somehow she keeps creeping back into the picture, and then you love her the next day. So, really interesting race. It was Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s last, as we know, Talledega race. Granted, he doesn't sub for somebody or just decide to do a one-off Daytona thing, which I don't think he will, but I don't know. I don't think he will. So, it was a really wild race too. It was interesting how Brad Keselowski kind of lost his radio communications and everything else, and then, he ended up winning the race, and ironically enough, kind of had a throwback paint scheme that said cheers to Dale Jr., and Dale Jr. was behind that on the restart, watching that, which I think is kind of funny. But, it was a typical Talledega. I cannot remember the last time there were only like 10 cars on lead lap, or like 13, and really only 6 or 7 that were up to speed. You had Trevor Bayne in there. Was it Greg Galding, the 83 for BK Racing? David Reagan. They were pretty much damaged to the point to where they weren't doing much. Had Todd Dillon and Brad Kay and Ryan Newman and Junior, Joey Logano. I think there's probably maybe 1 or 2 cars that didn't have really any damage at all, or not very much at all. But I want to say I do remember seeing some restrictor plate races where there was only a small handful of cars, but I don't know if it was ever that low. That was just really, really wild. And so the first 2 wrecks were basically driver error, I think, and they were on pit road. It was the one where Jimmy was trying to come out pit road. That was a boo-boo. And then Jamie, that was another boo-boo. Of course, pit road, Talledega is crazy. And I don't remember until this year seeing the manufacturer battles be so... I don't remember seeing manufacturers work together as much as they did at Talledega, at least for certain parts of the race. I don't remember it being that coordinated and scripted. So that was pretty interesting to me. Also, going back to the wrecks, the third wreck was kind of, I thought it was David Reagan's fault, but it was kind of odd that Martin Truex really took a lot of blame for that. So I think it was maybe a combination of two. I think David kind of saw or heard that the 78 was coming and tried to get a push, and I think it was a little too late type of deal. Because Martin Truex really was like taking all the blame for it. So, of course, ironically enough, the guy who started the race, David Reagan, he finished 10th, which was good for that race team and BK Racing. Of course, BK Racing, they kind of, I personally don't think they'll be back next year. It is kind of unfortunate because I hear the owner's a really nice guy. They just can't bounce checkbook. So, and they've had sponsors, from what I can tell, but it just hasn't been working out. So, but anyways, it was a good race. It's typical Talledega and Daytona. It's all the same old, really. It's, but, I've seen more boring restrictor plate races where, like, the whole race was boring and then at the end everyone crashed. At least this one was kind of, I don't look forward to crashes, but it was, I think stage racing is what I want to get at. Stage racing has definitely kind of changed the restrictor plate races a lot. I think it's just added more intensity to where they're not just riding, like they're fighting for points. So that's helped the restrictor plate races, I think, be more entertaining. Because quite honestly, I've seen years where they've just gotten that top high lane in their single file for 20 on back, and it's just mind numbing. Um, so that was a plus. I don't really have a whole lot to put. I think that sadly Talledega doesn't really. I think if you win, it carries a lot of momentum, but I think if you wreck out, it doesn't really bother you that much because I feel like you plan on like doing really crappy at Talledega before you even unload the truck. I really do. Like, I feel like everybody's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna crash, plan on getting 40th. You know what I mean? Like it's a washout race. I mean, I'm sure people have different perspectives on that than what I just said, but you know, I definitely don't think that you plan on, you know, finishing top 5. Realistically, I mean, I think you probably think your odds are stacked against you. So, but it'll be interesting. Brad K has got a free ticket now, and you know, the ironic thing about the points with the championship contenders is that so many of them wrecked out and had horrible finishes that nobody really. I mean, it's almost like Talledega was like a washout. Like, it really didn't even matter. You know what I mean? Like, you had Brad K and, well, yeah, I think he was actually the only one in the championship that actually made hay. Everyone else was wrecked out. So, while you don't lose points, I mean, you know, guys like Jimmy Johnson that got stage points and this and that, and those guys, that was a big deal. I mean, I think that the real loser was probably Jamie McMurray because he didn't get any stage points, he didn't get anything. So if you could get some stage points and all that was a big plus. I wouldn't say it was a total washout, but it will make, I think, the cutoff race that much harder in Kansas. I think it'll make it a lot more intense because you're going to have a bigger pool of drivers that are competing that know that, you know, 5 positions here, 5 positions there. It's not like before we were like, okay, these 4 guys are going to make it, and then these other 3 or whatever, they're not going to make it. It's different now. It's going to be pretty intense, I think, because it's the point margin. No one really gained out of Talledega a whole lot, so it's going to be pretty good to watch. I definitely would stay tuned in. So I try to talk about everything, but of course I'm a front row motorsports guy, and this is my YouTube channel, so I'll talk about what I want to talk about. So if you're FRM guy, top 10 was huge for FRM. Fortunately, we did tear up a race car, but you know, having juice batteries on board and race electronics, that was just a really, really big deal. I think to get top 10, we got numerous TV times mentioned with the red flags and everything, and that was really good for them. Good publicity. You could barely read the logo because, well, you could read it, but I mean, the car was so tore up, it wasn't even that clear to read. So, I think they're in the right direction. Of course, Landon, you know, didn't finish well, and unfortunately, that's been kind of like the whole, you know, backdrop of his season this year is just not catching breaks, not finishing well, and bad luck, you know, and unfortunately, one bad season is going to kind of define his career, I think. Because I don't think he'll get a cup ride this next year, and I'm not sure where he'll be at after that. So, but there's some radical changes coming from FRM, just to touch on a little bit. They're more than likely going to make a manufacturer change to either Chevy or Toyota. There's a lot of reasons they could end up with Toyota and Gibbs, and there's a lot of reasons they could end up with RCR. We're probably going to get Micah McDowell, but for could go up Toyota, we could get one of Gibbs' development driver into a Chris Buescher deal that they did a couple years ago and kind of like, you know, coddle them into the sport. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. I just think that no matter what, they're going to do better than what they are now, because I just think that that alliance is just not working. I don't know if Roush is a tightwad or if his cars aren't running now. I don't know. I just don't think that alliance is working very well. And Chris Buescher made the comment last year before he left, trying to throw mud, and he was like, "Oh, I feel like FRM just didn't give me," or 2 years ago, he's like, "Oh, I just feel like FRM just didn't give me the cars I needed to for the chase." So I'm like, "Well, no, it's Roush didn't give us the cars you needed, because we buy our chassis and stuff from Roush, and you know, we gave you everything we could." So to caveat my point now, I just feel like Roush is a good team, but I feel like that they're not the type of team that can give you. They're only going to be able to make that one good car. I don't feel like they're going to be able to make a bunch of good cars and divvy it out to other people, and then you're going to be good. I feel like Gibbs could do that. Like, they can add another car or two, or not add, but they can give you the resources and chassis. Like, I feel like they just have the capability to do that, like Hendrick would. You know, I think the 95 is going to be a pretty good car next year with Hendrick Alliance. I think there's some alliances that are good, and I think some alliances are kind of crappy. And I just feel like with the Roush alliance, it's just not working out. And, you know, I'm not sure how much Ford's putting into FRM and Roush anyways. I'm assuming they're putting a lot into Roush. But so if we get Triad engines from Toyota, I'm hearing that's going to be a bad thing. So I'm really hoping that kind of doesn't happen, although Toyota thinks those are great engines, so whatever. But I know a lot of people on the David Reagan website with Facebook that saw him go through the BK racing problems with Toyota and those carpets, they don't want anything to do with it. So I'm kind of leading with them because they're very experienced people. So, you know, we'll see what happens, but either way, I think FRM is on their way. This has been the best sponsorship year ever. You know, it's funny because Landon hasn't done that well, but I just think it's going to kind of, his not good year is going to be kind of null and void, I think, by the time it's done. Because honestly, I think with FRM making a big move and with David Reagan doing as good as he's done, I think that's going to hold a lot of merit for sponsorship coming back. Now, had both cars done crappy, I could see it, but I think that Reagan and those guys are really putting FRM up on their shoulders, and that's what's kind of keeping that team looking good. Luckily, both cars haven't sucked, because if both cars had sucked, we'd have some issues. So, really happy about that. You know, I wish Landon would do better, but unfortunately, now that he knows he's gone, he's probably going to be drawn with crap anyways, because that's usually just how it goes. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to get off here, and I'm going to go watch Shark Tank with my girlfriend, and I'll try to get with you guys next week. Alright, bye-bye.